Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tearing It Up podcast. I have another creator here on the show. It feels funny to say another creator because I haven't really identified myself as that like before, but I'm trying to lean into it a little bit more because everything I do with the podcast and whatnot is content creation. But yeah, I had Jess from Feel More Gooder on recently, and that was like our kind of first creator she's making a living off of what she's doing with her blogging and social medias and things like that. And so I'm just really interested in people who are doing that. And I know that our guest today, she does other things, still works full time and whatnot, but she has grown a massive following. And I just can't wait to dive in with all of you guys. I'm going to be learning some of this stuff about her in real time too. So it's always fun to have a guest on for the first time, for me, for those reasons as well, that it's like just unfolding so many new things for myself as well. So today I have Rebe Dunn, and she's also an enthusiastic gravel cyclist. So we'll definitely be talking about biking on the podcast for sure. But as we're recording today, Rebe, where are you in the world?
I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, so it's basically an hour straight north of Denver.
Okay, awesome. I have not been there. I've only flown into Denver, and then I've been in a few other spots in Colorado, but haven't spent much time in that area there. So, um, maybe we'll learn a little bit about what's going on in Fort Collins too.
It's
And
fun.
also, yeah, definitely. Also out there to you listeners, if you guys have been listening a while, you can probably tell that I am a little bit under the weather, so I'm gonna apologize up front, and if I have to, have a little coughing fit, I'll try to hit mute and edit all that out for you guys, but, I'll be chugging a lot of water for sure. But anyways, we're gonna dive right in here really, Revi, and I wanna know, I guess we're gonna start with the content creation portion and kinda how you got into sharing your experiences, like, in the outdoors on social media, and, like, what that looked like for you, when your audience just started to grow. So did you start sharing just, like most of us do, just wanted to get your story out there, share your experiences, and you naturally saw it start to grow, and started building on it that way? Or did you kinda go into it, wanting to go in that creator route?
So I actually kind of got into it just wanting to go into the creator route. I know a lot of people are like photographers or they just, kind of naturally are sharing their stories. Um, I've never I've never really considered myself creative for some reason before this. I was like, sort of like right kind of in the middle or post COVID that I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I had a business that was, just kind of closing that and getting finished with it. And I'm like, it's all I had done after college. So, I love, I've lived in Colorado for 16 years now. And I love getting outside. I love, my main thing at the time was hiking, really, when I started content creation, snowboarding, things like that. But I just was like wanting to share. And I think I noticed a lot of people moving to Colorado around that time that didn't
Mhm.
really know how to do outdoor stuff, in general. Like, what do I bring hiking? What do I just all these questions that I kind of learned as I went. But yeah, just I thought it was, it was kind of cool to share like, hey, like, and also be more approachable. Like it's not that serious. Like it is and it isn't, like just go outside and have fun kind of thing was the whole message. Yeah.
Absolutely, I think that is an interesting time, think about, like, the height of 2020 and 2021 when the outdoors really exploded, like, so many people who weren't getting outside before started going because that was the only thing we could really do, and it's funny as somebody who was interested in all those things beforehand to kinda see, like, how did people not know, like, this was here and whatnot, but it just really, I think, was a huge wake-up call to a lot of people, like, wow, that's the kind of society we've become, so isolated and indoors and, like, removed from nature and all of that, and so and then with social media too, it's just, like, been growing anyways since it came about, but I think it was also around that time where, like, TikTok was really taking off and
Mhm.
those things, and again, because there's so many people in lockdown and not doing much, a lot of more people took to social media, whether it was creation or just consuming. So I think it was an interesting intersection where the outdoors met social media in a different way than it
Totally.
had before in the ways that you're talking about of, like, making it accessible. A lot of people got flack and still do on the internet about sharing certain areas, right? And so now those have people blame social media for certain areas getting overexposure and things like that, but the other side that, like, is that people felt comfortable learning from people who looked like them or were showing them, like, how to do things because it can be super intimidating to go out and do something you've never done before and you don't know, like, am I gonna make it back from this hike? And, like, you can think about elevation or miles, and in your head, you might be like, "Okay, well, is that a lot or is it not?" You don't know unless you've had those experiences, so when someone's talking to you directly and sharing their experience, it can be so, so helpful, and so, yeah, I think it's just been so interesting, like I said, how they've melded together in such a way that they weren't before that time period.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I remember being on, I think Instagram started, was it like 20, it was like sometime in the 2010s, right? Like
Yeah,
pretty
it's funny.
early on.
I was listening to a podcast and someone had just mentioned that it was like 2011 or 12
Yeah.
and because I was thinking of 2009, but that was Facebook because that was when I was like 21 and so we were still on Facebook and stuff and, so yeah, Instagram was a few years after
Yeah.
that, and it
And
was
it
all
was
just photos.
totally, and like
It
horrible filters and just
Yeah, exactly, the filters, every photo was about the filters and not even like a caption, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's so wild how it's changed so much.
So much. So fast too.
Yeah, so fast. So it seems like now it's just hard to keep up with, especially when you are using it as a tool for work or something. It's like, okay, yesterday this worked or something, and now I got sucked into almost a rabbit hole about another like Instagram resize of the photo, and I'm like, I can't even deal with this right now.
Like, I
But
don't care.
yeah, so many changes. Well, okay, so you said that your main thing at the time was hiking. You were doing that before you entered, like, the content creation world and kinda that idea of wanting to make content. Where did you, like, grow up or live before Colorado? Like, was that the outdoors a part of your life then, or did it all kinda happen when you moved to Colorado?
So I grew up in Dallas, Texas, so definitely not outdoorsy. We went to like Cancun for vacation, and like so definitely not then. I actually went to like a summer sort of like wilderness program as a teenager, like between freshman year and sophomore year. And so I think then I always say like I don't think I would really be into the outdoors had I not done that because I was very much a Dallas girl, just like yeah, it's crazy to even think about. So, right after high school, I moved to LA and then I moved to the Central Coast in California, to like San Luis Obispo area. And that's pretty outdoorsy too. I did a lot of hiking there, a lot of beach time, but there's, hiking too. And then I moved to Vail straight from SLO, and I was there for 4 seasons. So that was like, I remember like I went on a date with somebody and I had moved there it hadn't been that long. And they took me on a 12-mile hike, and I was like, I was like, "I got this," but I was dying, and I feel like that's just what you do, and that's how I learned, which is I would not recommend. It was, like,
Yeah.
high incline, like, I think it was in Minturn, and so I don't think we got up that high, but it was just, like that's just how, you just went and you're like, "Well, I guess I need more water next time," but don't really recommend that. So, yeah, it was just sort of like it was what everybody did, and
Mhm.
I already snowboarded before that, so it was so fun, and then, yeah, at a certain point, I panicked, and I was like, "I gotta get out of this mountain town, or I will be here forever." So, moved to Fort Collins.
I was gonna ask you a little bit about Fort Collins because on top of the just intimidation factor that can happen getting in the outdoors or anything new, trying anything for the first time, um, I think Colorado has like, as a state, I feel like if you say you're from Colorado or going to Colorado, moving to Colorado, whatever, then this, like, outdoor stereotype is just, like, put on you or there. It's like Colorado I feel like is the mecca of the outdoors. I mean, Tahoe is very similar to Colorado, but Tahoe is a small region. It's not the entire state, and
Really.
I'm sure obviously everywhere has their nuances, but like I said, if you just say Colorado, people assume like you're an outdoorsy type person, and, um, I'm wondering how different, like, Fort Collins is from the mountain towns or, like, what the vibe, like, is in Fort Collins, really.
Yeah. Um, it's funny, it's so hard for me to describe because Fort Collins is a very interesting, place. There's a university, so Colorado State's here. It is an ag school, so you have sort of like a mix of your, like, kind of ag type people, and then you have, this sort of like outdoorsy there's a ton of rock climbing, there's a ton of, it's kind of like river hang culture in a way, and, uh yeah, there's a river that runs through, a bike path that connects the whole city. A lot of people are into, like, biking, rock climbing, um, of course, you, like, know your niche, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of other really prominent things here, but it's definitely, like we're close to Boulder. Boulder's bigger than Fort Collins, but it's a lot more of, like, average culture, like
Mhm.
it seems like there's kind of not that much, like, competitive energy, and people are it's beer, we have, like, New Belgium's here, Odell's here, we have, like, the most microbrews in the country, so I don't drink and it's fine, but a lot of stuff revolves around
Yeah.
the breweries and things like that, but yeah, I mean, overall, I would say it's extremely laid back. The one thing I don't like about living in here and is that I'm an hour north from Denver, so I have to go through Denver to get to the mountains. It should take me about 2.5 hours to get to Vail and Winter Park and stuff like that, but because of the, like, influx of people here in Denver, I don't even go anymore. Like, I haven't gotten a ski pass the last 2 years because it took me 6 hours one morning to get to Winter Park, and after
Oh
that, I was
my
like that
god.
was 3 seasons ago maybe, and I'm like, "I'm done. I can't do it." When it used to be literally across the street, like, from
Yeah,
I lived in Vail, so
I can resonate with that, now I'm in Truckee, and so there's resorts all over, and it's not that long. It can take an hour plus to get to the resorts that are only 10 miles away with the traffic in the winter, so it's absolutely crazy, and that's why we also stopped getting passes. I think this was our 5th season, maybe 4th or 5th season without passes. We also just got more into snowmobiling, and now I can literally, like, sled out my door, so it's great, but, um people a lot of people come from San Francisco up here, and that already is, like, a good traffic day, 3 plus hours, let alone trying to get up here in the winter and the storm and with traffic. There's a lot of people who do what you had experienced to getting to Winter Park that day, like 6 hours, and there are a lot of people who do that in a day. When I lived in Washington, I lived in Tacoma, and so the mountains were a couple hours away. That's what you were used to. You could go up on a one day, you're there and back, you didn't have to make, like, a weekend out of it, but when it could take you, like, half a day to get there, you're like, "Well, I'm not going for just the day now." So, yeah, it changes a lot, and you really think about what you it takes some of the steam out of it and the fun because you're also at these big resorts then waiting in a lift line. So, when you're waiting, like, an hour-long lift line to get to the places you wanna go, and then it's, like, just all beaten up by then anyway, you're like, "Wow, I spent a lot of time to ride some pretty below average, like, conditions." It's just, yeah, I said I resonate because I feel, like, sad about it at times too, like, "Dang, do I miss the days when it was just, like, bottomless and easy to get to," and, of course, it's a destination here where I am, so there's always gonna be traffic in the high, like, season and whatnot, but it's still just not different in my short time that I got to experience, like, little or less traffic than now, and it's like, "Oh, I wish I still had that same, like, oomph to go to the mountain," but it's like, it all these outside variables have changed that for me.
Totally. Yeah. I don't it's like and I never wanna be that person that's like, "Oh, before everybody
Mhm.
here," because most of my friends moved here after like, during or after COVID, so but, yeah, it's really night and day, and
Yeah.
I used to live across the street from so, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Beaver Creek, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, so you have to go up to get to
Mhm.
Beaver Creek, right? So, I used to live in these apartments directly across from the shuttle, across that little highway that takes you up. So I would just walk out my door with my snowboard, get on the shuttle and go up and like so from going from that to like 6 hours one way, I'm like, forget it. Even when I moved to Fort Collins, actually, I was started school here, but I had a serving job that paid really well in Vail before I moved. So I went up every single weekend and stayed with friends and worked. And even then it took me no traffic. So anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, I feel the same, like, trying not to be like, "Oh, before, all the
yeah.
people, this, that," because, like, I'm a transplant, I wasn't born
Mhm.
and raised here, and most people weren't, so it's also, like, there's good that comes along with growth as well, so you can't always just blame, like, all the people and not everything goes, like, just totally downhill because of it, and we're spending our time doing something else instead of that, so it's just, like, a kind of like a trade-off, I guess. So you're immersed in Fort Collins. You're starting to just, like, put some content out there, ideally reaching some people who are newer to getting outside and whatnot. What did that kinda content look like for you? Were you educational on, like, what to wear, where to go, and how long did it really take for you to kinda see some growth there?
My growth has always been pretty slow. Like, I know people that have just like blown up, you know, you know, tens of thousands in their first year, and mine's been super steady. But I definitely was sharing like, yeah, like what to wear. I love bright colors. I love, just kind of like stereotypical. I hate saying like feminine because like everything's feminine, but like, I love like pink and just being girly in the outdoors, I think is one of my big things because I think people if whatever you wanna wear is fine, right? It's sort of like I have to have this look to be an outdoors person, like, I have to wear brown, I have to wear which is great, I like brown too, but, like, you don't have to, is the whole thing. So, like, because I think too people at least me, I just I kinda share, like, my pain points because I think that probably other people have been there too, but, like, I felt like I had to change myself, especially in Vail, like, I had to be, like, one of the bros. I had to, like, do certain things and go super hard and wear really baggy tall tees. That was, like, 2010,
Yeah.
just, like, that whole thing, Um, and you can, but you don't have to. So, I think that's kind of, like that was a barrier for me of, like, wanting to go all in on sports is, like, I have to change everything.
Mhm.
And, yeah, I was sharing trails. I wouldn't do that anymore. I have seen places get destroyed, so I'm not into that anymore. But yeah, like and also, like, how to find trails, even that, like, people don't know that all trails exist or just how to, like I mean, zoom in on Google and find trails and lakes and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, kinda how to pack your backpack, stuff like that.
Yeah, I like what you mentioned about, kind of feeling like you have to fit in by wearing a certain thing. I think some industries too, especially skiing and snowboarding, were a little bit more harsh with that. And sometimes I'm like, well, is it just age for me that that's changed and I've changed my perception on it? Or is it like overall changing that narrative and people don't feel that kind of pressure anymore because there are so many different people
Yeah.
in everything now that there's not just one look, right? Like, you're not gonna be marked as, like, not a good skier or snowboarder because 'cause you're wearing this or that because there's so many more options for gear in the first place too that are that have prints are more like bright colors. There was a time that it was like there's just neutral colors. So if you wanted to go do something active or technical and you needed the gear to fit, like the technical gear to go with it, there weren't the colorful options or prints or whatnot anyway. So you were like kind of siloed into having to have that. And so you couldn't feel like you wanted to show your personality or wear this or that because you're like, well, I need, a certain piece of gear or apparel that's gonna do something for me, so I can't wear this, like, colorful thing, so it's awesome to see all the growth there and especially all the women's companies and brands that are out there that are making more prints and bright things that have all those technical features because even before them, it's still an issue of finding women's gear that has the technical features that you need, whether it's colorful or not, and now I think there's another kind of pushback where the women are like, "Where's the solid colors?" Or, "Where's the non-pink?" Right? It's just like
Trends
you can
went
never
all the
win.
way to one
Yeah,
side fast, yeah.
and I mean, there was a point in time I had all bright colors, like, for my workout stuff, looking back at my leggings and everything I wore to the gym and yoga, like, 15 plus years ago, like, all that stuff was so bright, but I was, like, the only one wearing that, and now that there's more options and it came back, I'm on the other side where I'm like, "No, give me all the black or the solid colors," like, I don't like prints very much, and so sometimes I don't say anything to these brands, but whenever someone has a new launch, I'm like, "God, I hope there's, like, a quieter print or something,"
Yeah.
but yeah, so now that, you're making some content, seeing some growth there. How long or what else were you doing for work?
That's all I was doing for a couple years. I took, like, summers off, so, um, I had I had a business before. Um, I was able to financially just, like, take a couple summers off after that to and I was like, just to do content. I traveled a ton. And I'll say too, when I had it was a food business, like wholesale, and we did events and stuff like that. I was working like easily 80 hours a week, like sometimes manual labor, like just sometimes, doing taxes and all of all of the things. So I was so burnt out. So I literally took 2 summers uh, and traveled and, made content that way. And it was so nice. I'm not the kind of person, honestly, that's like, I need to work all the time. I'm like, dude, give me a flight to Europe. I'm so happy. I don't need to do anyways.
Yeah.
Um, I worked for a marketing firm for a little bit. And then I've been working for a nonprofit now for like almost 2 years.
Okay.
It's like a mountain biking association, so like an IMBA chapter, and it's like outreach, and membership coordinator, and that's not it's about 20 hours a week, 20 to 30 depending on the season. Yeah,
That's awesome to just be able to meld some things together and have the side that's like, well, this is kind of what I want to do and where I'm having some fun. And then this is also the side where I can just kind of sit down, do the work. That's what I like to have anyways, because sometimes I need to kind of have some structure, be told what to do, be able to wake up and say, here's my to-do list instead of be completely left to my own devices because then I'm like, there's a million things I want to do and it can be hard to focus on the one. So I really like having a blend of I know what to do over here and over here I have some more freedom.
totally. Yeah.
um And so when did cycling come into the picture for you? So you've been working for this nonprofit for a couple of years.
Almost
Is
2.
that kind of what got you into cycling or did cycling come and then this position did?
Cycling came before, and it's funny because I actually don't mountain bike, like, I know how, but I don't enjoy it really. I think I always, like I don't I never wanna sound, like, mean or anything, but I always joke that, like, my prefrontal cortex was, like, fully formed and past it by the time I tried mountain biking, and I was like, "I'm not," because I used to jump off cliffs on a snowboard and stuff like that and, like, did not care, wanted to do the craziest stuff, and now I'm like, I don't wanna hurt myself." So,
Like, the
um
snow's a lot different than dirt and rocks
so
and
true.
whatnot because,
That's such a good
yes,
point.
you can get hurt, but I mean, there comes a lot of, like, blood and things with crashing on the dirt or cement or anything that are just a whole 'nother mess and pain.
Okay, that's such a good point. Yes, thank you. Okay. I'm like, I gotta justify it somehow, but
Yes,
yeah, you're so
validated.
yeah. Um, so actually I got into it because my husband, was a runner and he was, like, training for this marathon or half marathon or something and got injured, so he got into biking, and I feel like we did a lot of outdoor stuff together, but it was one of those things where, like, "Oh, you're buying a bike? I also want a bike." You know? If you get a bike,
Yes,
I get a bike. That's just how
absolutely.
so got a bike and, like, before that, I had an e-bike and it was like, so back in, like, 2022, I had some health issues where I had to have surgery. I mean, I had 2 surgeries, but the second one was, like, I had appendicitis and it ruptured, so I was, like, in the hospital for, like, probably 2 weeks or something, and I was frail after that, like, I think I probably lost like, I didn't eat for, like, a whole week, in there, and, like, it was just bad, so I was, like, e-biking, around town, going to the river, kind of that whole summer. It was still, like, sort of lockdowny, um, but I got the gravel bike and the gravel biking scene in Fort Collins, like, there's a women's team, like, team is loose because it's not like a race team, it's like a club, like a group thing, that's pretty big, and it's grown a lot since I've joined, like, this is my 3rd year, but it's just a very nice like, it's easy to be a beginner here, in my opinion, um, even though I was very frustrated for being very slow at the beginning. I was like, "Why don't my legs go?" Like, they just will not go
I
faster.
still do that.
Yeah, it sucks. Especially, like, with a certain group, you go with a group that's, like, a bit above your level or a lot above your level, and you're like,
Yes, yeah, you're, like, literally like, the mechanics are not here, what is going on? Why like, these have to be completely differently built humans, like, I don't
totally. And
understand, I'm
bikes and, like,
trying
need
so
a nicer
hard.
bike. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, like, my husband, like, I mean, he's tall he's a foot taller than me, and, he ran, like he was a runner, competitively and stuff like that before, and so I've never done endurance sports, so starting with him and being like, "Well, F you, see you
Yeah.
later," like, it was already such a big difference in ability and, like, speed, so, I'm happy to have found the women's group, but yeah, it was just like and it was really great, like, I had never done endurance sports before, and I feel like it was something where, like, I could, like, work to progress and, like, see that progression, and that was just, like I don't know, it was something new for me and something I really enjoyed. I'm like, "Cool, I can, like, get better at something," and I don't know, yeah.
That's what I was wondering what was kinda the hook for you with biking, like, the learning something new and seeing the progression and kinda getting addicted to that, or, like, just spending, like, longer amounts of time outside? Like, what do you think was the number one, like, draw for you to kinda go deeper into it?
I actually think it was the community part, like, there's some group rides, so, like, Fort Follies is the women's team, and there's a group called Queer Plus Bikes that also the couple who runs that, I'm starting Joyride with. So, I started going to their rides specifically because a lot of they have, like, very, reasonably paced options to where I could keep up, and I really couldn't keep up with most of the other rides, and so it's just like, I don't know, just a community of people. You're, like, encouraging each other, you're getting to know people, you're getting coffee before the ride, just, like it just felt like really all of it in a row, like, you're getting a good you're I like getting tired from something, like, from
Mhm.
physical exertion, it just, like, feels really good because 'cause I'm hyperactive in my brain. I have anxiety, so it's
Yeah,
just, like, all of it is
it
so good.
quiets all of that down.
Totally. And then I went to a race in Nebraska that no longer is happening, but I had the best time, just yeah, I don't know. I've always
Like,
been, like, athletic and stuff, but I put it towards things that I just thought were, like, fun, like snowboarding, like hiking, just sort of it has to be pretty, and I didn't really think biking could be that
mhm.
for some reason. So and then you have the community aspect, so, yeah, all of it together.
Was the race in Nebraska, like, the first one that you participated in, or you just went and watched?
I participated, yeah.
How did you end up in Nebraska for a race? I'm sure there's, like, plenty around, like, closer to you or what yeah, tell us a little bit about what that race experience
Yeah,
was
so it
like.
was it was called Grounded, and so B and Lauren, the Queer Plus Bikes friends, were doing it, and then another friend, from the Follies, and yeah, there was, like, a few people going from Fort Collins, and it was, like, we were camping also, so it just sounded fun and like, "Yeah, let's do a race," and, um, oof, I would never bike there again, to be honest. It was, like, rolling hills, which makes me wanna I literally screamed out loud because 'cause I'm like, every time you crest a hill, it's another freaking
Oh
hill.
god.
And I'm like, I would just rather do I was like, "Ah." But it was fun. Like, it was just really it was a small race, and it was just, like, really, really good community. Um, it's just a really good time. It was like I didn't race, we all stayed together, like, probably, like, 6 of us or something, and yeah, I got hooked.
Well, I think what I have kind of learned going into the more of the gravel spaces and, like, I haven't raced or anything, it's been on my mind because, I've probably talked about this before on the podcast, my experience with, like, enduro racing and with the Sturdy Dirty, like, mountain bike enduro race being my first race, but when I first got into mountain biking and racing was on my mind because I just came from a competitive background of team sports and whatnot, so for me, what, like, athletics meant was competition and winning and, trying to be the best, and that's why I didn't race, like, mountain bikes. I was like, "Okay, I want to, but I gotta get better first because I'm not gonna
Mm.
go into this and, like, totally be the worst," and I just, like, didn't I worked at a bike resort here in town one year, and then I don't know, life just kinda changed and I wasn't getting out on the bike as much, and so kind of, like, felt like I was regressing. Um, but so racing kinda went away from my mind, and when I decided to finally do the Sturdy Dirty after, like, years and years of watching it and talking myself out of doing it, but that community that became the only race that I would do because it was all women's race and totally more about the vibes and community than competition. And I'm like, "That's what I need. I need to be more about that and not have this competition mindset," and not even necessarily about others either, but just so much with myself, and then to where I'm not enjoying it because I just am, like, down on myself for not doing as good.
Yeah.
But, so now with gravel racing, I look at it totally different than I ever did, like, mountain bike racing as being more of, like, you're just doing it for fun. Obviously, there's a competitive part, and there's people who are super competitive and national, world teams, all that kind of thing, but for me, for a lot of the people, I think doing some of these local races and stuff are just getting out there to have a challenge and have some fun and have
Yep.
that community, not necessarily about trying to be the best. And so I'm like, "Okay, I could fit in here. I could, like, definitely do this," and, like, without having to I guess where my thought was for a while, I was like, "I don't need a race because if I'm not gonna actually be competitive in it, I can just go do that route by myself."
Yeah,
So, like, why do I need to sign up for a race to go do this 30 or 60 or whatever mile thing? But, like, you're hitting the nail on the head with the community part and then just being around all the people and the support.
totally. Yeah, and, like, last year I set out to do a gravel race I like, March through October. I didn't do the ones on either side because of weather, like, Mid-South not this year, but the last there was fires, and then Big Sugar, there was, like, hailing and thunderstorms that day, but it was also, like for me, it was also, I can do this, I can and you start seeing the same people. It's also been great networking for my content creation, which, like, was a unexpected side effect or whatever, because you start seeing, like, the brands and getting to know them personally, which is so different than, like, a cold outreach, and they're
Mhm.
like it's hard because everything online now, it's like meeting people and talking to them in person, but it was also an opportunity to travel, and I also was like, I wanna see what different because gravel is not one thing.
Yeah.
Gravel in Bentonville is so or Moab is so different than Fort Collins, and it's all over the place, so it's like, here, it's like you're sometimes it feels like you're on a paved road. There's, like, no, like, really gravel on top, but, like, in Bimville, I thought I was gonna die because it was huge rocks and deep, deep rocky stuff. I'm like, "Okay, well, this is good practice, and
Yeah.
it's fun." Yeah.
Yeah, lots of different terrain, and that's kind of like I mean, I guess, like, skiing and snowboarding or mountain biking, and if you're in one area, it might maybe not skiing so much except for when you think about, like, coast versus coast, but
Yeah,
then I think it becomes a little nuanced between, like, Colorado and Utah or California and, like, the snowpacks, but I think you're still you can be like, good in, like, this maritime snowpack versus continental and not see as big of a difference there as you would, like, on the East Coast, but with mountain biking and gravel biking, like, it can there's so much more variety that can really take you out of your comfort zone, whether that's, like, the hilly terrain or just the type of road and gravel and conditions of, like, loose dust, or is it a little wet or rooty, all this stuff. I said, I think there's just way more variety when it comes to, like, biking conditions than skiing that can make big differences in how you perform or feel on the bike,
totally.
and that's one thing I feel like Tahoe is a pretty good mix, but I do want to, like, go other places and be like, "Okay, so what's gravel biking like here?" But also that changes person to person and what they think is like, what's gravel to them. And
Totally. Yeah.
als and also, like, the networking, the community, again, touching back on just being in person at races and seeing the same people over and over and getting to meet the brands. They that also like, helps them put trust in you. Like, you are actually showing up and doing the thing that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, totally. And, yeah, it is I mean, it's interesting, like, especially, I mean with this influx of, like, content creators, influencers in the outdoor space, like, I haven't seen much of it, but I have seen people, like, completely fake something,
Mhm.
like bike packing, they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna camp and I'm gonna bike around with my gear, and then I'll make" and I'm like, first of all, obviously that's not the morals are, really
Yeah.
but, like, it could also potentially be, like, an unsafe situation, and so if you're not seeing people, like, actually doing those things, like, I imagine from a brand standpoint, I don't even know how much they can really think about this or control it, but it's like, there has to be, like, some trust, like, kind of what you're doing, you're a nice person, sort of things like that, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, still kind of the Wild West for sure out there with, like, social media and who you can trust, whether you're watching from the sidelines, like, as a consumer or, yeah, going into partnerships, and I'm sure even on the content creator side, I mean, have you had any experience, like, working with a brand that maybe you really wanted to or were excited about, and then you got into it and you were like, "Oh, that didn't go quite like I, like, anticipated," and they weren't maybe as, approachable or supportive, as you had hoped they would be?
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've been saying this and, like, I think as a whole, like, cycling is really far behind in marketing, let's
Mhm.
say, like, running or different sports as far as content creation. There's sort of this, like, purist mentality of, like, go hard and, like, pros, which is great, like, there's room for that too, but there isn't this crossover of, like, sort of speaking to, like, the everyday person or, like, the new person, at least from the brands not I mean, obviously not all. I, like, work a lot with Joyride and some I feel like women-owned brands are better about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so, like and I'm not gonna say names, but there's definitely been a brand that's like, "Oh, yeah, well," that I feel like they almost, like, manipulated me into, like, doing a video for not paying. They're like, "We'll do 2 videos," and I was like, "I'll do, like, a 2 for 1 to start since I really wanna work with you and I really like your brand." And they were like, "Okay, well, actually, we just want 1 video." And I'm like, "Okay, cool," assuming they were gonna pay me, and they're like, "Oh, no, like, we took the free video, basically." And I had, like, already made it, and I was like, I was just and of course, I'm like, "Alright, like, fine." And it just went I don't know. And the video did really well, and I just kind of, like it was like an unspoken thing where we just didn't so I feel like there's some of that. I mean, I think I've gotten better at sort of I actually got a manager recently, like an
Oh.
agent manager to, like, do, like, pitching and negotiating because it's so hard to do for yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to, like, dive in a little bit more on too is because, like I said, social media and all that is still the Wild West as far as, like, you could put anything out there, and so the information is just wild with what people will say, and you're like, "Wow, that is 1000% not true."
Mhm.
Or recently, kind of a side quest here is I saw an ad from a brand that was like, "Something, something on Lake Tahoe," and it is definitely not Lake Tahoe. And I was like and a lot of comments called that out, but I was like, "How as a brand, who who okayed this?"
Yeah,
Like, was it working with the content creator and, like, the content creator provided this to you and told you you're there, and the people who are, releasing the content, they're not always the outdoor people. They're really
mhm,
good at their job. They might not be the outdoors person of especially of, like, a bigger brand who's getting out there and knows this area enough to, like, vet it and know that that wasn't true. And so, yeah, I'm still so curious, like, who okayed this because no one's gonna trust your brand now. Like, and they think you're idiots, like, going out to these places and saying you're at this spot and then you're not, and, like, why would you do that? But, um, so, yeah, it's just you it's hard to trust things that are out there, but then, like I said, there's a lot of people who are still pretty far behind in marketing and paying and knowing the worth, I guess, of content creators. So I think there's a lot of brands taking advantage of people still,
yeah,
and there's platforms out there, there's platforms I use to find some content creation campaigns, but it's hard to be in this space where you're like, "Okay, I wanna do this because I wanna work with this brand, and I'm new, so I have to kinda take the easy lift things, the low-hanging fruit." But you also have to hold a certain standard so that the low doesn't become the standard, you know?
yeah,
So, it's really
totally.
hard to navigate, and so I'm curious about your journey in navigating, like, charging for things and finding out what your worth is for content creation.
Yeah. Yes. So I feel it's funny because I'm actually in this like creator group that was sort of organically made by an outdoor creator. And it's like there's all these different it's like a chat room where you can like, discuss rates, share your, if you want support on something, if you have you want to like run an idea, I'm having trouble ideating or whatever. And there's a place where people put great, experiences they had with brands or not great experiences with brands and things like that. So that's been super helpful. I also took a course. I know that some people are like, I treated it like a business from the beginning and I took a course. It was quite expensive, but I did like a run through um, with the founders of it and they have a million followers on their personal account. So I was like, "I trust you." You know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. And so I did like an audit and it's a couple and he was like, "You can charge this much." And I was like, "No way." Like and so I feel like having that validation and like that confidence. Um, I have a friend who really early on, she was like pretty adamant about talking about like if you take stuff for free, you are hurting the
Yeah.
entire industry of creators. And so I've really taken that to heart and I've definitely turned down things that I really wanted the thing. Um, but I'm like, why would I work for free? This is literally, and also somebody said this, and I'm gonna, like, butcher the really, like, oomph moment of this, whatever they said, but, like, this is a primarily, like, primarily content creation is females, and
Mm.
women have been working for free and undervalued forever.
Yeah, eons.
Yes. So, like, really, why aren't we putting our foot down and being like, "You're not gonna take advantage of us. I'm a videographer, photographer, editor. I have an audience. Like, why the wouldn't I get paid for this?"
Yeah.
And so, like, thinking about it that way, um, which is probably why I've had another job for so long, because I say no, and I have gotten better. Like, I definitely work with, like, local brands, smaller brands. I will work with them. I'm not like, I don't have this set rate, but for, like, an enterprise level company that I know has a budget, I'm gonna expect it. And I always say, if they're like, "Oh, well, we have to see how your content performs." And I'm like, first of all, there's an algorithm, and we both know we can't control that.
Mhm.
So a lot of time I tack on, like, paid usage and things like that where they can boost it. But, like, I'm like, you reached out to me because you saw like, my Instagram account is my portfolio. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
You
You
know?
can see all of that stuff on there, right? Like how many well, maybe you can hide, like, comment or number of likes now, but I think doesn't Reels, like, show you how many views they get, like, publicly?
Yeah,
So it's like, you can't you can't change that or hide that, so if you're posting it on your page, they know what traction they're gonna get. Now if they're asking for you to make something and they're gonna post it on their channel, you can't promise them performance because it's not your audience. What they're paying for is your audience, like,
really.
and so, yeah, it's so interesting, and, um, I think the whole women being the majority of creators and working for free, like, that definitely hits for sure, and it is so true, and I think it's so hard to put a number on this stuff, especially if you are creating because you just enjoy it and want to and you're passionate about whatever you're doing and sharing. It's so much harder to put a number on it and, like, a value cost, but really love that you said, like, you went in on this whole thing with a business mindset, doing it for a business, and so took a course because I think that's something that a lot of people don't consider, and sometimes we look at a person, a influencer or content creator or whatever, and think like, "How the heck did they just blow up overnight or something?" And we have to remember that some people went in, like, they prepped for this. They went in and got help, and they're not doing it alone or, took courses, did all this work, and whether they paid for it or not, we don't know the behind the scenes and how much effort it took for them to get to that point of reaching that, and some people obviously do just go viral overnight, so
Totally. Yeah. And there's engagement rate calculators that some creators have made, like, through the lens, and I think she primarily does through the leaves now. She has this really cute turtle named Fig. She's, like, has a pretty big account. So, yeah, there's, like, engagement rate calculators where you can, like, put in your follower count, your reach and stuff like that, and it'll pop out a number, and then, like, the norm is, like, if they wanna boost it, if they wanna use an ad, it's 30% of your rate every month, and, like, some brands, I feel like people but brands are saying yes to that, and, like, some
yeah.
people don't know, so they sneak it in, like, "Oh, well," like, a year of paid usage or in perpetuity, and it's like, it's crazy because it is a Wild West, and people will say yes to that, but it's like, people are getting taken advantage of left and right, which
Yeah.
is so frustrating.
I know, and I'm probably one of them who's done stuff for, like, "Okay, I'll get that product because I wanna try and build my portfolio," right?
Yeah,
Or knowing, like, how much something is worth it because I don't know what there's not a cost list of, like, this engagement rate is worth this much money, that's, like, out there generally for everyone to see, that's the thing is it can vary so much, and
exactly.
it's, but it is a wild of, like, what you can make out there. Like, you can make a living on it, but again, it takes so much work, and you've gotta have your audience. I don't even wanna say niche because, like, you can do so many different things and have so many different touch points, but your audience just has to follow along with all of those or most of them or whatever, and yeah, I have a hard time, like, trying to figure out how to angle my stuff and, like, "Okay, do I have to do this? Do I have to do this?" Like, "What do you do here?" And just kinda play the long game of what you mentioned this earlier on of, like, why you share what you share is because those were things you went through, and I think
Mhm.
that's the most authentic way to share anything is if you have the personal experience with it, you're gonna be able to speak from having experienced it, so you're automatically gonna reach people in a different way than someone just educating someone on something that they haven't gone through themselves. It hits in a totally different way.
Totally. And I feel like it just by consuming content, like there's some very niche things that I'm like, somebody will put out and I'm like, why are you in my brain? And so I know what I put out, if it's very niche and in like a genuine experience, people are going to relate to it
Ye
because for some reason we all have a lot of collective experiences, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, tell us a bit about, like, kind of where you're sitting now, like, what does the day-to-day kind of look like with how often you're, like, taking campaigns or creating content for people? Like, are you also I guess, how much content are you creating that is, like, partnership or campaign versus, like, you're just putting out the kind of everyday stuff to nurture your audience?
Yeah, so I don't wanna say like I take what I can get, but I will take on more partnerships than I feel like I should for my, like, I feel like it should be like 10% of
Mhm.
content, so it's not like you're just an ad machine and
Yeah.
it's just not even if it is an authentic message and you like the brand, it's still an ad,
Mhm.
and people are gonna notice that, but, I mean, marketing budgets are seasonal, so
Yeah.
right now it's really busy, holidays are really busy, so during those times, I'll just, you know, try to pump out as much as possible, but, I hired Chloe, my manager, and she's now doing, like, a lot of pitching and negotiating, so I am seeing, like, more come through. Her I mean, my rate I'm not joking, and this is also for people that are, like, really discouraged, but, like, the yes rate is like 1% when
Yeah.
you're doing outreach. And most people don't even respond. Like, you're getting ghosted constantly. You're like, "I promise I'm gonna do a good job. Like, why don't you like me?" And
Yeah.
but Chloe is much more successful than me, at pitching me, which has been really great. It's just like people just take it more seriously when there's somebody advocating for you and speaking in a certain way.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to I'm still building, I think there's a lot. I'm really hoping that cycling will kind of come more to this side of things because most people are not super fast or
Mhm.
have the nicest bike. So I mean, it makes sense to me. But yeah, I'm growing. I'm still learning a lot all the time and yeah.
Well, I think with the we talked a bit about this, I can't remember if we were offline when we talked about it or online, but either way, that the fact that social media is just ever changing and evolving, so you kind of have to, like, no matter what, no matter how much experience you have in the game, like, you're gonna constantly be learning too because something's gonna change in the algorithm or a new platform that you have to, like, change with, so it seems like it's just a constant learning experience, and obviously your past experiences will help in a way, but sometimes it's like, just, "Nope, I don't this one's all new, I gotta figure this out on the fly," kinda thing, and I like to be kept on my toes, I guess, so
Yeah.
it keeps you, I'm sure, like, just active and
Totally.
engaged in it all because you have to be paying attention, you can't really get complacent with it, um, and I think cycling will have to come along because I wanted to mention this when you talked about it earlier, of, like, kinda having this more elitist kind of vibe, right, cycling and the brands and stuff right now, and gravel biking is just blowing up in that recreational space, so I think the brands will have to come along because more and more people are getting into it on just that, like, recreation level, not trying to race or be elite or anything, and I
Totally.
mean, just by the brands I've seen who are coming out with gravel specific lines like Wildride and Shredly, they're getting into those categories from being historically like, mountain biking because
Mhm.
their mountain bike following and girls are taking to gravel biking, whether it's in addition to or replacing or whatever it is, for me it's in addition to, but taking over a lot more space than mountain biking is because that's just where I am in life, and so for whatever reasons those are, I just enjoy solo riding more on my gravel bike than I do enjoy solo riding on my mountain bike, and time allows for more solo rides than group rides for me.
Totally. Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm loving it and enjoying it, and so, yeah, it's fun to see, like, some of these brands, like, coming on too, and yeah, it'll be I was actually just posted on, like, my LinkedIn, like, looking for gravel bikers specifically because I'm just inundated with runners in the
Yeah,
outdoor industry. I mean, like,
totally.
spent a lot of time in specialty outdoor retail spaces, and it's just, like, all run, and I'm like, "I don't run." And I just, like, where are the people, like, talking about cycling and all that? I gotta find those people who are going for a cycle break at work and not a run break or whatever, but,
Really.
yeah, I got into a rabbit hole of searching gravel bikers on LinkedIn and
I
seeing who
love
I
that.
could find,
I
and
love that. People
there
are
wasn't too many, like
Yep.
well, not too many active posters. There was and then there was some,
Mhm.
like, pros, and I'm like, "Well, I'm looking for someone I can, like, resonate with," but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously a whole different, like, platform and different use and all that, but, yeah, I'm just trying to see who's out there specifically in the gravel bike space, in the, like almost like do you know Katie Burrell?
Yeah,
Yeah, like, the leisure athlete of gravel biking is, like, what I'm looking for.
totally. Yeah.
And so before we get out of here, we were kind of running up on our time, but tell us a bit about Joyride and what's going on. You had mentioned it quickly in passing, talking about the group rides, and I know that's kind of a new venture for you. So tell the people out there what Joyride is and what they can like expect to see from that and how they can follow along there too.
Totally. So Joyride is a retail space that I'm opening with friends B and Lauren, who run Queer Plus Bikes in Fort Collins. They've been doing that. I want to say like 4 years or five. They've been running that group, but they've been biking forever, and all the things. Um, Joyride is going to be basically a repair shop, not a bike shop. We're not going to sell bikes, like repair, retail, and then a cafe. So we'll have like really good food, sort of stuff that it's going to be basically, we want it to be a place where people like start their group ride, work from, and just like a community space. So we're going to have like a room in the middle that's going to be a community space. We're hoping to have like pop-ups, and we just have so many ideas. It's women and queer owned. So we this was actually so B is a mechanic. And in passing, like maybe 2 years ago, they mentioned, like, "Man, Fort Collins really is just all it's like man caves." Like, you're a little bit nervous to ask a question, like, it's they give you a beer when you come in and that type of thing. So it's like, there's so many gravel bikers here and cyclists in general that there really needs to be a place where people feel like not only like welcome, but just like fun, like you want to come back to, you want to hang out in. It's going to be pretty, which is a
Yes.
big deal. Like, you know what I mean? It has to be like just feel like bright and warm and welcoming. We're also going to host workshops, so like kind of bike mechanic workshops. We'll probably have those like on YouTube and stuff like that because we want to expand to other people. But it's just like it's really a space where for people who, you know, just have not really felt welcome in cycling previously, or they're new to the sport or want to get into it, and just like, yeah, just because it's like, to all of us, it's not that serious, and we don't care what kind of bike you ride, we don't care what speed you go, we don't care what you look like, we don't care about any of that. We just like want community. And
Yeah.
yeah, really excited about that. I'm kind of running the food side, like the cafe. So I've had a restaurant before, and I have, like, a food science degree, so I'm coming up without telling too much,
Oh,
it's gonna
cool.
be some cool, like, like, and it's not gonna be like a health place, like, it's one of those places where, like, the ingredients are good, but it's like there's, like, this really good sauces and, stuff like that,
Yeah.
so, but, like, just kind of, like, optimized stuff for, like, your protein and your pre-workout and stuff like that, but, like, also fun, like a candy bar and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so, yeah.
That sounds amazing, and when I first saw you post about it, I was like, "Oh my god, I love this," because this has been an idea in my head for years of, like, a similar space because it's about that community, and, like, the vision I have is quite similar with,
Oh,
um, a place where you can come repair, and I want it for snowmobiles and bikes, and, maybe there will be people on hand who are mechanics and can help you through it, but really kind of giving people the opportunity to learn themselves and work on it because you can go to a bike shop, all day. You have to really and or learn on YouTube by yourself. So it's like,
mhm,
how do you bridge that gap of learning how to do it yourself, but with some guidance and in a space that has like all the tools and bike stands can be expensive, like just a bike stand.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, having a place where you feel comfortable and confident to learn yourself and get hands on and working with some women-owned brands to bring, like, consignment in, kinda have some pop-ups of like, "All right, we've got this brand here," because a lot of them are direct to consumer
yeah,
and not in shops, so I wanna be a space where people can get their hands on them because I think it does make a huge difference to be able to try on, touch, feel in person and whatnot, but it can be so hard to get into a retail store, um so yeah, when I was like, "Oh, that's so amazing to see this come to life for you guys," because like I said, it's a similar vision to what's been floating in my head, and when you just see those things happen, it makes you feel like it can exist, right? And, like, you can make your dream possible too because someone else is doing something, similar in that way. So you just know, again, that validation where, like, it is needed. Those
yeah,
spaces are needed, and so, like, you're on the right track.
totally. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I all of that, it's like those spaces really need to exist, and I feel like we're like Tahoe and Fort Collins are similar in a way where there's, like, a lot of people, like, there's a few big box stores or, like, places owned by big bike brands, and then, like but there's nowhere that has the really fun cycling apparel that you wanna try on, and also, like, women's sizing and bodies are, like, so hard to I'm, like, literally 2 sizes difference in certain brands than
Yeah,
other.
same.
It's like, how the heck? I mean, you can try it on, you can order it online and return it, but that's annoying, so and we're being, like, really intentional about the brands that we bring in, the type, how we're gonna bring stuff into the space, and so I'm just, like, really excited for people to be able to, like yeah, trying stuff on is huge.
Especially if you're in a space where, like, there might be people or other people around, right, who have the same interests, whether it's other shoppers or the people working there, to like, hype you up or be like, "No, that doesn't work," and just, like, help you, and that is missing a lot, like I said, I spent a lot of time in specialty outdoor retail, so I am, like, very, attuned to customer service and those things, and when you go into a place and you try something on and no one's around to, like, help you find a different size or say anything, like, it makes such a big difference if you're there and like, "That looks amazing, that's awesome," like, and not just to sell it, but because you can really or, like, your own experience. The amount of times I share my experience with people who are trying stuff on, I'm like, "Oh, I have that, and trust me, I love it," like, uh, and again, not just to sell it, like, so
Totally.
it just can make you walk out feeling confident in your purchase and or, like, you found the correct thing. You almost walked out with something and someone stopped you and was like, "Actually, hold on, I think this will, like, work a little bit better for you and what you're looking for." And yeah, just the customer experience is so important and it's just lacking because obviously there's less of it with so much e-commerce and whatnot, which is still great, but, I just got my first bib and jersey, well, it's on the way, but, for size-wise, I was like, "I have no idea how this is gonna fit," because in this brand, like, I can wear this size or this size, so it'll be a mystery. It'll be like, we'll see what happens here. I hope it just works because I don't wanna have to, yeah, go through the process of, like, exchange and whatnot, but I'm like, "Man, if I coulda just ran to the store and, like,
Totally. I know,
tried this
sometimes I buy
on."
2 sizes with the intention to return one because I literally am either that or I'm doing 2 separate orders anyways
Yep,
probably, so, yeah,
and
it's
then you
just
can't wear it for another, like, week or 2 because you're waiting for it, so, yeah, I've done that too.
totally. And, like, chamois and jerseys, all that stuff is so expensive. So, like, I bought several things in the beginning that, like, actually were super uncomfortable, but A, I didn't really know because I didn't know what was comfortable, and, like, you're just wasting money and you're uncomfortable, and it's like, we don't want any of that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an investment. It is not cheap. Quality apparel and gear at all is, like, quality and pricey for a reason, but, yeah, when it doesn't work and you spent that money on it, it's, you force it to work, and then everything's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and then you're, like, jaded to buy it again anyway, so, yeah, if you can kind of,
Yeah.
like, smooth that out and get less friction there, then that's super helpful, but that's really exciting, that that's, like, on the forefront for you guys. Is there anything else, coming up for you? Any races or anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm doing my next race is Ned Gravel, and I'm hosting a ride. I don't know when this is gonna air, but I'm hosting a ride June 7th. That's like there's really crazy hills in this race, and I'm super nervous to do it. So I was like, why don't I host a ride on like one of the hardest parts that's for like average people to try this big. It's like this very Gold Hill. It's like this pretty kind of like a famous climb in Boulder. And so, yeah, it'll be fun. I'm gonna like host a ride June 7th, and then, because I'm nervous, I'm like, surely other people are nervous for this. So, and then yeah, Ned Gravel, Joyride's actually gonna have an aid station on like the pro course for Foco Fondo, which is my hometown race, but I'm actually gonna be at the aid station instead, which I'm fine with. Like, they're right in a row.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and then I'm doing some bike trips. I'm doing a bike trip in Italy,
Oh,
and then I'm doing a
cool.
bike trip in Idaho. It's like a hot springs, like, bike packing thing with a
Oh
company.
my god.
So, some really fun but I'll show you. It's really cool.
Yeah. Is that trip, like the Idaho trip, are these just trips you're doing, like, personally with friends, or are they, like, group things that others can get in on?
Yeah, so they're companies. So the one in the Dolomites in Italy is so Trek Travel. It's, like, not technically Trek, but it's like a it's an one of the owners of Trek started it, so they have completely guided bike tours all over the world, and it's, like, it's way more bougie than the Idaho one, which I'm excited about. You have, like, a support car the entire time if you need a snack or a layer or a break. You're staying in hotels, you're getting great food, and they literally have them in, like, they have a ton in California. Some are more like chill with like, like a wine tour, but you're biking on the road. And then this one's going to be pretty difficult, but I'm, I mean, those trips, all of them look so cool. It's really hard to decide. Um, and I do have a discount for that if anybody
Yeah,
wants to do
the
it.
Idaho one? Or I'm sorry, the Italy one, or are they in the same company that are
The
doing
Italy
both?
one is so they're different. The other one
Oh,
is
okay.
Western Spirit, which is they're based out of Moab, and
Oh,
they've historically done a lot of, like, Arizona, Utah trips, and then they have one in Western Colorado, but, I'm going to the Idaho one, and it's Idaho's hot springs, so you're actually camping on the ground for this one, but you still have, like, a support car and stuff like that, like, they're carrying your stuff to the next stop. So I'm like, "One step, I'm so good with this," like
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, and so you're, like, stopping at, like, hot spring spots, you can, like, jump in during the day, and it's crazy too because I have a pretty close I feel like Wild Rye and me are, like, pretty tight, we've done a lot of events together, and I love all of them so much, So it starts and ends in Ketchum, where
Oh,
they're
cool.
based. And I'm actually the day I finish is their 10-year anniversary party. And they're having this like whole big like block party, this whole like blowout thing. So it'll be so
That
fun to be there. And that was totally unintentional.
yeah, how serendipitous, that's awesome.
So
That's
excited.
amazing.
Yeah. I found out at Sea Otter and I was like, no way. That's insane.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, man, that all sounds so fun, and I didn't even it's funny, I read a book about, a bike packing trip with a support car and all that, and, you're not carrying any of your stuff, and they were stopping at hotels and stuff like that. It was like a ride through New York, but, I hadn't seen or thought about any I guess I just hadn't looked any up, and I'm like, "Man, that could be definitely a way to do it and dip your toes in, and obviously, there's gonna be a financial cost to it than just doing it yourself, but said it takes some of the weight literally off of, like,
And
of
the
your
risk
bike
is
and
like I just thought about, like so, yeah, I thought about taking a bike to Italy or, like, even renting one for a week. I just feel like that's, like, half the cost of the trip.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And they have
yeah.
like, I just went to a Trek store here yesterday to get measured. They have the bike ready for you. You send them your measurements. They have a helmet. They have your GPS computer loaded with all the routes when you get there. Like, they send you a jersey. It's insane.
That's awesome. That is definitely I'm gonna have to look into some, like the Idaho type one for
Yeah.
sure, get out there and camping, but yeah, especially if you don't have anyone to, like, go out with, and it's nice to, yeah, be a group, meet some new people, again, coming back to community.
Yes, always.
Awesome. Well, Ruby, it's been awesome talking to you and kinda getting the behind the scenes on where you started with content creation and, like, where you're going and the other awesome things you have going on with Joyride. Before we get out of here, we just let people know where to follow along and join your journey.
Perfect. So it's my Instagram is Rebe Explores, Rebe, and then and then Explores. That's my main sort of channel. The way I get information out, I also have a broadcast channel that you can join on that Instagram account where I like post the events and stuff like that. I feel like, it's so easy to miss a post. So I try to get people to join that so they actually see it. And then Joyride is Joyride Foco is the Instagram handle. Um, and that's pretty much it. I'm not a TikToker. So yeah,
Awesome. I love that. I love that you can make it work on one well, and that's what it seems to be. It's like one channel works better than the other, and especially when you're at the point of, having a large following, monetizing and things that it's like, why spend some time on another one that's not really working? And also it's nice to know too on the, like, uh, content creator, like, up and coming side to not feel pressure of, like, to have to be in all the spaces at all the time because that is definitely the messaging that you feel it is out there, like, I have to be big on everything to get any kind of attention or whatever, and it's like, no, you can have one focus channel still and be successful.
totally. It's like if you can do what you can manage, you're going to do a better job. Like there's
Yeah,
Yeah, and not like, my content doesn't really work on it's not TikTok style,
yeah.
so sometimes I'll repost stuff there and it does horribly, so I just don't do it.
Yeah, yes, I love it. Awesome. Well, everyone, you can check the show notes to go follow Revi or just type it in yourselves. Go see what she's doing in the cycling space, outdoor space, all that, and then follow along Joyride too for updates, especially if you're in that Fort Collins area, so you can go and be there in person when everything comes to fruition. And we will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.